is such a rich conversation, and I have one more question, but we're running out of time, so I want to make sure to get this in. I teach at Princeton Seminary, where we do have some 20-year-olds and also older folks who are training to be ministers. They're training to serve in church and society, and going out into a world that is deeply polarized, going out into communities. And I just wonder, as people who have studied this and who have spent so much time thinking about it, if you have a kind of closing exhortation or word of advice for folks as they think about how, as leaders, to navigate these dynamics and to try to bring some wholeness to the communities that they're going out into. Bob, I'll let you have the first stab, since you're warmed up on people in their 20s, and then Gerardo will come to you.
Well, yeah, I wish I had longer, but a couple of points for advice. One is, and I totally agree that clergy are overwhelmed, they're overworked. So first piece of advice is choose your battles wisely. You've got to, you want to engage in some, maybe your battle is racial reconciliation. Maybe it's helping Afghan immigrants, or maybe it's something else, but choose your battles, but choose them very carefully, because it does take enormous time and resources. A second piece of advice, and I'm sure I don't even need to say this, but in the midst of all of this polarization, daily life for most people is not polarized. It's not. It's about family. It's about work. It's about putting food on the table. It's about dealing with schools and homework, or dealing with illness and death and bereavement. And so those are things that churches should be able to minister to, despite the polarization. And I suppose another thing is that, well, to put it frankly, this is to clergy: stop being con artists. Stop being con artists. What about all of the changes in theology, in biblical criticism, in searching in the arts and music, people searching for answers, but basically realizing, whether it's through science or the arts or philosophy, that most of the big questions about faith don't have answers. So quit pretending that you've got all the answers. It's no wonder people listen in and say, that just doesn't make sense to me. I'm not coming back next week. So quit being con artist about it.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you so much, Bob. Gerardo, do you have any thoughts here, words of advice or wisdom?
Well, we are really entering into murky waters here about people who want to do ministry, because there are fewer and fewer people who are saying they want to become pastors. In fact, it seems like many people who are pursuing seminary or education in a divinity school actually are wanting to do something that's far more mission focused and doing advocacy or something like that. The core still appears to be, what does it mean to change the world, whether it's doing it in a one-on-one pastoral sense, family by family, person by person, or in some larger sense. And I think that all of it requires a great deal of patience. In order to have a call, a sense of what it means for me to be in the world, we really tend to grab onto very ambitious ideals. And those ambitious ideals are hard to make work when you actually are in a real community, interacting with real people. It's very hard for people when they are full of, like, when I get in there, I'm going to do it this way, and I'm not going to create this, and I don't have to deal with X, Y, and Z. But when we work with systems require strategic patience. And that doesn't mean just buying in or allowing people to roll over you or just allowing things to happen, but it's really being smart about noting changes in the world, being able to give people sensitivities that they may have never seen, recognized, or heard before, to be able to really win people on that personal level. That usually the greatest sense of legitimacy a person has is when they get to know you as a person. And so unfortunately, the reciprocity can be very uneven. It may require a lot more of you at first than you ever get from anyone else. But if we are there to serve, and serving is the fundamental aspect of the emptying of oneself in order to pursue something larger, then it's really going to require that kind of effort. And you need more people who are willing to do exactly that kind of effort.